Hey everyone, I'm Mary Kwiatkowski, and I am back again with another episode of the brand new NBC reality TV show, Destination X. Darkest timeline has hit this week, and to break down this episode, I am joined by once again my excellent returning sub co-host, Chappell. Chappell, Sasha may still be traveling around. I may have been traveling around up until this moment, but if there's one thing we can rely on, it's Chappell to come in and save the day.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. Someone has to travel to go get the answers to these questions because Mary, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but in this episode, I had one clue that made it make sense for me, and that was it. The rest of the time, I was gone, and I honestly would have been so wrong. I would have been so wrong. I would have just been dead. This would have been my last episode. So glad it was Mac and not me.
Um, I definitely knew the country instantly. The
That's
city.
it.
The city, I think I would have been in the same situation as Mac, but we'll see. We'll get to it. We'll get all up in it. I'm sad because I was really rooting for Mac, and I gotta say, I saw this one coming a mile away. Um, Very early on in my notes, we see that Mac started getting some screen time, and I said,
Mhm.
"Oh no, it's the visibility spike. This is not good. It's
Oh
not good
man.
for my favorite player."
That's tough. That's tough. I didn't see it coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. My
Mhm.
mouth was on the floor because the show did a thing. And like you said, this is a trope in reality TV for sure. The person's going home. We try to give them their last little curtain
Mhm.
call, their exit or whatever. But like for me, the show was dangling the showmans breaking up in front of all the viewers' faces. So it was like, if you're pro showmans, then you're like, no, not that, not Shane and Allie. We need them. But if you're like me and like chaos, I'm like, oh yeah, Peter, you got one job and you know what to do. And so for it to like be the switch up and it be Mac, my chest hurt because like it was right there. But I mean, I just feel like he made the right decision, and I guess we'll talk about all of that and more. But you're right, Barry. These clues were helpful to some people. I feel like if you've seen The Sound of Music, you were in heaven today.
Yes.
But for us, I mean, I don't know. Have you seen The Sound of Music?
How I'm sorry, have you not seen The Sound of Music?
No, I had no. I
I felt
know The
like
Sound of Music exists.
that was one of those movies that, like, even people who hadn't seen it had just kind of seen it by osmosis at this point.
I've seen Julie Andrews spinning around on that heel. Like I've seen that. But if you had asked me about this flower, or if you had asked me where it was actually like the city it was located, Mary,
Okay.
I have nothing. That's what I said. Like for me, I was just like, you call me Pilot Pete. I was lost the entire episode.
That's so interesting. Yeah, we will definitely get into the clues because I have some pretty different thoughts about them, it sounds like.
Ooh.
I was definitely a Sound of Music kid for sure. So, yeah, we'll talk about it. But before we dive any deeper, make sure that you are following us everywhere. Make sure you check out all of the Destination X coverage that we have over on weknowdestinationx.com. Feel free to leave us a rating and review, 5-star only, please. And also make sure you follow along on YouTube and the podcast for our exit interviews. We had to do some rescheduling last week, but I did just hop off the phone with Kim. So talk to Kim from last week and you can check that one out. And very sadly, I'll be talking to Mac
Mm.
tomorrow. So that'll be up very soon as well. I can't wait to hear from Mac. All of the frustration that she has. Hopefully, she understands how annoying this situation was because I'm annoyed. So
I'm sure she got it. I'm sure while she was walking off the bus, she was like, yeah, I don't love this. I don't love this at
yeah,
all.
yeah. This we had an interesting format twist, and I don't know how to feel about it. So
Was this a
uh,
format twist?
I feel like the ability to just send someone home is the worst thing in a reality TV show. It reminds me
Hmm.
of back in my sequester days when I lost sequester by being pulled from the game when Shannon Gus got out. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like you should be in control of your own fate, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I just think and I know you and Sasha have kind of like, speculated a little bit, but we didn't really have an idea for what they were going to do in the case of a tie. And
Yeah.
so for a tie to come down to like, well, the person who got, who wins the tiebreaker gets to basically decide. I can't really think of a easier or a better way to handle that situation.
What? How about the person who loses the tie and is far enough away, they're just
From
out.
the date?
Yes.
I guess, but like, I guess so, maybe. Yeah, like
I
maybe
mean,
like Big
no,
Brother
that's also
rules.
bad. It's also bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at this point, you need to ask them a question that they all could have known the answer to.
See, Mary, the one question this entire episode that I knew the answer to was the tie. I didn't know the exact date, but I knew they were all wrong. I was like, y'all are so far off because this castle is supposed to be haunted by, checks notes, witches and werewolves. And they're like, yeah, about 200 years ago. I was like, no, no, go further back. Let's keep going back to when people thought werewolves were an actual threat to us. And now, Mary, I know we're not in Forks, but I don't think in modern days, anywhere between the 1400s and now, I've been really threatened by a werewolf.
Let me see. Let me do a quick Google search. How old was Carlisle Cullen?
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Okay. So he's only 365 years old. So he's not even as old as I thought he was. I thought he was like 1,000 years old. So forget that.
He's a young
But
werewolf. I mean, a young
anyway,
vampire.
yeah. I think that this is definitely a case of people in America not having an understanding of how old other places are.
Yeah.
The oldest thing
Castle
in
was like
America is like
200
200
years.
years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if you look at the dates they picked, they were like, so after America, right? So like 1500s, 1600s, they're like, so America was discovered, right? Like that definitely happened already.
Yes.
So now where do we go? I'm like, how about they said where? Like the only thing that stuck out to me was werewolf, and I'm like, there's no world where in the 1500s they're like, I don't know about these werewolves, man. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Yeah, these I and sometimes I lose track of what Jeffrey Dean Morgan is saying in voiceover versus what he is telling them. Like, did he tell them you're in a castle that is like 1,000 years old, or did he just tell us that?
No, he told us it was like 1,000 years old, but he told them witches and werewolves. That's what really
Right.
stuck out to me because I was trying to, the hard part is always to, separate what they actually hear and can know and what they could know. Because I started to think maybe there were clues maybe in the castle that had like, I don't know, the date or something like that, kind of like it insinuated. But the only thing we really got that could tell you when the date was is that this is, there's mystical creatures here, or mythical, I guess, and I just feel like they go typically folklore like that goes back way longer than just, a few hundred years.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you're talking about haunted buildings and stuff, I'm trying to think of when I would have guessed it was. I think I would have probably guessed like 13 or 1400s, maybe.
My guess was literally 1100. I was just like, oh yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
this got to be because there has to be pre like real animal exploration, like they really think. I'm sorry, hey, look, if you're listening to this and you're a werewolf enthusiast, you tell me. Maybe I'm far off and that werewolves really didn't make their prominence until after this. But to me, that was like but Mary, I'm saying this as if I had any other answers throughout. I was in the dark for most of it. I just knew what country we were in. I had no clue. I would have been dead to rights here. So if not for that tiebreaker, I'm going to have to defend it because that's all I have.
So let's get into the beginning then. This was one of the first times where we don't get like a ton of very specific clues. The ones we got from Jeffrey Dean Morgan up top were we always start 100 miles away from the destination. I need to check this out, but I feel like their destination, this was like one of the closest trips we've done so far.
Well, we talked about it, Mary, where we were trying to figure out where we would go next, and we were like, it'd be pretty close to just go to Austria, right? Like it'd be like
right. And
there.
not only that, but like specifically where they end up going in Salzburg. Here's the map.
Ooh.
You can see Munich spot 5 and then Salzburg spot 6 are so close.
Yeah.
Compared to like where we came from, Amsterdam was hundreds of miles. So they just popped right over.
No, that's a really good point, especially because we were like, when we were looking at the map, we thought, okay, well, obviously they're going to travel a little bit, right? We knew that they were at some point going to be in
Vienna
Amsterdam.
at bare minimum.
That's exactly what we kind of landed on, was like, okay, Vienna. And so, yeah, they just went next door. It was like, it really wasn't much of a trip at all. And so maybe that's another clue, right, for them.
Right.
So if they're thinking like, okay, we couldn't have possibly made it all the way to Vienna in just this short amount of time. So maybe we know that it's at least a notable city on this side of Austria, if you got to pick Austria, because I don't know how, notable to the average Chappell Salzburg is, but when I tell you, I did not know where the hell we were at all. And so, I think that would have helped if I was familiar with where that is geography-wise.
It was one of the things where when they said the name of the city, I definitely had heard of it before and knew it was a city.
Okay. I think I thought they made this up.
Did I know anything else about it? No. Not specifically.
So is the Sound of Music set in Salzburg? Is that like
a
location?
I knew that the Sound of Music was set in Austria.
Yes.
That's what I knew.
Yes, same.
So I think this would have been a situation of, I would have hoped to have either gotten the salt clue, had someone explain the salt clue to me, or had someone tell me, because otherwise I would have probably guessed Vienna as well. But I did at least know Austria. So yeah, we get told towering peaks, baroque streets, where a single brushstroke or note could change the course of history. And I wrote down, we're in Austria. So that was pretty obvious. Now, this is the one that Sasha has been talking about from the beginning in our little preseason, what's coming up kind of thing. We saw the clip of the woman dressed up like the girl from Sound of Music spinning around on the mountain. And so we knew that was coming. And here it is. Didn't take that long to get here. But we open up with some chats on the bus. Peter and Janae are annoyed with Shane and Allie. So it's still just kind of these two sides fighting against each other. It's particularly with Peter versus Shane. Like, they both think that the other one is out to get them. Peter keeps trying to like shake Shane's hand and he's not really having it. Meanwhile, Biggie, Mac, and Rick are like, hey, this is great that we got those two sides going at each other. We're sitting pretty in the middle, even though really the way it is Biggie is with Shane and Allie, Rick is with Peter and Janae, and Mac's kind of the one who is more or less, I can't even say the middle, because I don't really know that Peter and Janae have a whole lot to do with Mac, but it does seem like Mac is kind of the extension off Biggie into the bigger alliance.
Yeah, the way I see it is that you have the OG alliance, and in the middle of it, you have the Showmance and Biggie. So you have the Showmance and Biggie, and then you have Rick and Mac kind of on the outskirts of that. But Rick realized that already, and so he's already went and made the alliance with, the reality stars, Pete and Janae, and Mac has not. Mac is just still hanging on to that core alliance. She'll talk about it throughout, but she's not as social as some of the other people are. And she also doesn't really need the alliance that much. Yeah. That's the saddest part about Mac going out here, is that Mac had to go out here because she knew all the answers this entire episode. I don't think there's one clue that got past her. She caught it all.
Mac has been hit or miss with the final map room answers. But what Mac has been great at has been looking at a clue and knowing exactly what it points to. Sometimes she'll then get in her own head and guess kind of the wrong thing. But before that point, anytime we get to a challenge and she's just looking around at the scenery and she's like, boop, 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 clocked all these things, I know where we are. Maybe if you're that great at that, just keep that information to yourself next time. And don't tell anyone about it.
She was keeping it to herself in this episode. This was one of the episodes where she was like, oh, why are they all telling me this information? That's crazy. I wouldn't do that. And she told one person who, Mary, for a second, I thought the show was hinting at like maybe a potential, oh, if daggone me and Matt weren't on competition, I'd ask her for a date. I was like, what's happening? We not gonna
You
do
thought
it
we
if
were
we
gonna
didn't
have
do
a
it.
second showmance?
I thought we have a flirt, man, to say the least. Mary, you got exit press coming up. You know what to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Hmm.
I'm just saying, if anybody's gonna look, Sasha's not here, so if anybody's gonna push this like kiss narrative, it's gonna
All
be
right,
me.
I'll add this to my list.
Yes,
Mac.
please. Mac, since being eliminated by your number one ally in the game, y'all go on that date? Did you go out to dinner? What happened?
Is this an enemies to lovers situation?
It seemed like they were friends to enemies to lovers so quick, if that's the case, because they were friends up until this episode. And now I don't know where they stand. And quite frankly, I thought it was cute. I was like, look at them. They're bonding and they're trying to keep it under wraps, unlike Shane and Allie, who were like, we're a showmans. Come get us.
All right, fine. I will add that to the list. I got you. I will ask Mac that. And maybe there was some love brewing. We'll see. I don't
Mary,
know.
we've shipped lesser couples, the two of us.
No, we've shipped people who were definitely a couple. What are you talking about?
We shipped people who were already coupled with wives.
Yeah. We look, for all we know, Biggie or Mac is not single, or both of them. We have no idea,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Biggie brought it up himself. So we're reading between fewer lines here. This one's basically being told to us. You
Mhm.
can't blame us for just stating what is right in front of our eyes here.
It's just right there. I'm sorry.
I bet that maybe that's why Biggie was so upset, because he realized, oh shoot, not only has a potential ally left the game, but she'll never go on a date with me now.
We shall see. Ask an exit press. We don't know. Never, maybe never, maybe never doesn't necessarily mean never. Maybe we watch it back and we see the honest mistake. We see these kind words. I'm just saying, we'll have to get Mac's point of view.
We will. We'll find out. I'm very curious. I will let you know. But yeah, we move on to the first challenge. We're in this castle courtyard, castle that is approximately 1,000 years old. I've been going through a lot of our comments and thinking about this, and I think the thing I'm still hung up on is just being in a place. How would you know what is a clue and what's not? Like, for me, I'd be like, okay, castles, what do we got? A haystack. What's the capital of hay? Like, what are we doing? Like, I would be reading things that are not clues and trying to read them into clues. Like, okay, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he had a watch one time that pointed towards something, and now he's wearing jeans. Where are jeans popular? What are we doing? I would read into things that are not there.
Yeah, and I guess that's better than to not reading into anything at all, right? Like, I guess you're looking for something that, like, and I guess like it's season 1, but in season 2, I think you do know kind of better, like, what you're supposed to be looking for to stand out. So like things that are definitely colorful that might give you map vibes, or anything that might be giving you like flag vibes. You definitely want to find that. Pictures of any famous people on the wall for sure. I heard you and Sasha trying to break down, what was it? Jen, what was it? The two famous people.
Jen Eva. Yeah.
Geneva. Yeah, exactly. So like things like that maybe jump out, but I guess you just gotta keep your eyes open, because everybody is after these keys. They're trying to find one. It's like a musical chairs thing. If you don't have a key, you have to sleep in the dungeon. If you get a key, if you are the last person with the key, you end up in the tower. It's a whole thing. And Mac, our girl, is the only one who doesn't notice the big ass Rebus puzzles hanging above her head.
Yeah. It's not going to end up mattering in terms of helping Mac figure out where they are, but it does hurt Mac in that she doesn't even have a chance to win safety, because the winner of this challenge is also going to win safety from the map room, which only matters because of the twist tiebreaker situation that ends up happening, because Mac knew where they were. And she finds this information out by the second part of this challenge. The first part, like Chappell said, running around trying to find a key. The second part is we got these riddles. Now, This first one, which is Rick, Peter, and Shane are in the library, and their riddle is a bloom in the night where peaks touch the sky. Search for the cover and give me a try. A symbol of freedom and title of song. Find me and place me. Just don't be wrong. Now, my mind was instantly like, what's an Austrian thing that's a song? And so that's where I went. And then obviously a bloom pointing to a flower. So have you never heard the song Edelweiss?
Nope, I would have been in the dungeon. Get thee to the dungeon, Chappell. I had this riddle meant nothing to me.
Okay, I am not going to sing Edelweiss for a number of reasons, but look it up. It's sweet. Did you ever see Knives Out a couple years ago? Like when that came
Yeah,
out? Yeah,
the first one or the second one?
the first one.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay, you know, like the old man, like the guy who dies at the beginning. Sorry, spoilers for Knives Out. See, that's part of the movie. So that actor is the guy who plays Captain Von Trapp in Sound of Music, and so he sings the song Edelweiss back when he was a lot younger. What is that guy's name? Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer. So you should look up Christopher Plummer singing Edelweiss, and then picture him being the guy from Knives Out, and it's funny. But yeah, here's where I was thrown off. Rick wins, and then he's like, "Yeah, Edelweiss. I think this is Swiss." What? How would you know that flower, know that song, and then not instantly know that's Sound of Music?
Oh, see, I thought he landed on Austria. I thought he said
he did eventually, but not until he slept on it.
Oh no! See, I thought he landed on Salzburg once he slept on it, but he got Austria from the Edelweiss. Now I might have misheard him.
He does say at some point, like, I think we're in Switzerland. Weren't they already in Switzerland? I don't remember. Yeah.
Right? Yes, we had already been in Switzerland, so that would not have been.
Yeah. Where were we? Switzerland. Yeah, because they were in Geneva, right? Geneva. Yes.
Yeah. So I doubt they double back to Switzerland. I guess they could.
I mean, to be fair, Austria is like touching Switzerland. They're all close together. But yeah, and then in the Chappell, we have Biggie, Allie, and Janae. And their clue is the thing that you seek is music divine. I'm one among many. My name is Canine. Compose yourself well, and success will be yours when placing a copy of my symphonic scores. Here's what I didn't like about this one. First off, a couple things. Number one, they could have used the exact same clue as the previous one and just had the lyrics to Edelweiss or the sheet music. That would have been fine. The first riddle had like 5 hints of what it was: symbol of freedom, title of a song, bloom in the light. This one, basically the only thing in here was like, I'm some music and something to do with canines.
Yeah, like canine composer is what I got from this. And Mary, we talked about it on the last episode. I was like, if we're in Austria, what pop culture reference would they be able to give Chappell to know that we're in Austria? Sound of Music was not the answer, because I definitely was like, I don't know where we are. But I said Amadeus. Mozart. This is the guy. This is like the guy. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Canine Wolf. That's all we got.
I didn't know he was Austrian.
That's the only thing I know about him. But you know, I think Beethoven. Janae's guess of Beethoven, because he was also a dog, honestly, is not awful.
It was not a bad guess. I honestly thought, oh, maybe that's real.
Well, he's from Austria too. He's from Vienna. Yeah, and so it was like, I just feel like that's not a bad stretch
with the Beethoven thing, but
because it's an American dog movie. This is the only answer that I knew. I said Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. That means we're in Austria. And I said, I don't know where we are. And I never figured that out at any point. If it wasn't for these nice people sharing all their clues, I would be kicked off the bus in a random city called Salzburg.
And the thing is, I also think I would have gotten in my head when looking at the map and knowing where we just were. Once again, if you look how close this is in Munich.
It's so close.
It's so close to Salzburg that I would have thought there's no way. Unless you could tell from the bus ride that it was a very short trip.
If you have to rule out Vienna, how do you do it? It's like, because we only been on the road for like an hour and a half, you know? It's like, so there's no way we could have gotten there. So maybe that's how I would do it. I don't know. But again, this would have been my boot episode anyway. So there's that.
Do you think that you would have known to see the word salt or see something that looks like a word and then know that you need to look at the reflection of that, and that right there is a clue to then go look for a salt shaker?
No, 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 no. I would have had to see the word backwards and say, oh, maybe like it was like I would have to see the word first before I would think reflection because they put the word reflect in the poem. You would think you would be looking for that. Like if you're tapped into the riddle of it all, then you're probably like, oh, I should find something that's reflecting. For me, it would have been absolutely backwards. I'd have saw, hey, this word is backwards. Oh, reflect, dummy. Okay, cool. But it would
I
have
don't
happened
even
just
know
like
that I
that.
would have done like the reflect thing. I feel like the word salt, like a 4-letter word, how complicated is that to look at backwards? I think I would have just seen that and been like, oh, it's salt. Like
Yeah, honestly, you're probably right. Maybe like the font is hard to read if you're just trying to eyeball
maybe.
it or something like that. Like one
Did
of
you
those
ever
like
see Angels and Demons, that movie?
actually have. Yeah, I've seen that movie. I don't
Because
remember it, but I've
they
seen
do a
it.
lot of stuff where it's like the words that are written, they're written in that font where it's like forward and backward. It kind of almost looked like that
Hmm.
kind of font. So I thought maybe that way. We also don't know the stuff that was in the room. Like there were salt shakers. I actually would have thought if it was something about the way the sentence said with reflect, like reflect on the past, I think I would have completely skipped over the word reflect and thinking of reflection. I would just been like, all right, the past, what kind of stuff have we seen? Okay, we've seen this, we've seen that, which I think is basically what Rick did because he said,
Hmm.
oh, this floral container, this vase has a labyrinth on it from Paris. And was Paris their first destination? That was a while ago. So I
That's a
think
long
or
time
no,
ago.
Rome was, but they did go to Paris. So
Hmm.
um I don't know that I would have made that jump because I'm sure a lot of the stuff had like mountains on it, which they've also been to.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I think the worst part about this clue is that once Allie picks the salt shaker, he now knows it's salt as well, right? Like that's the thing that
right.
bothered me is that like by picking it, he sees the answer. There's no way, and I guess just getting in the room was going to get everybody the answer, right? Like same thing with Wolfgang. Like once she puts down the paper, I think her mind goes the same. Like everybody's mind should go to the same thing too. Um, I think the only one you could really get away with is the flower one. I think like you don't really have to explain to anybody why you know that.
Right. If you just like, oh, I know Edelweiss is a flower, and then they would have been like,
Hmm.
okay. Although if it was me, if I hadn't even figured that clue out, but someone else got it first, and then I heard that again, I would have known sound of music. But I do think that one is probably the biggest stretch.
Hmm.
Unless you just didn't know that Mozart was from Austria, I don't know how much that would have helped.
I mean, even if you just like had like composers on the brain, I still think you land on Mozart eventually, right? Like it's like
Probably.
Chopin and Beethoven and Mozart, like like I don't know how many more you're gonna do before you're like Mozart. Like I really feel like maybe composers aren't your thing and you just don't know that. But like I said, Amadeus the movie would have got me to Mozart a lot faster. It also got me to Austria. That'd have been nice. But it still wouldn't have got me to Salzburg. No,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Do you think if you had not known, and maybe you didn't know anything about Salzburg, but you
I
got the
didn't.
word salt, do you think you could have just like looked at a map of Austria, saw
Ooh.
some cities, and been like, salt sounds like maybe it's because here's my problem. I would have, even if I had been there, saw the word salt, and then saw salt shaker, I would have made that connection. I don't think I would have then understood that that was a clue to the city. I just thought, oh, this is me winning the challenge.
Yeah, because they've had clues that help you win the challenge that have nothing to do with where they are before. Those are my favorite clues. They're like when they're like, "Oh, guess these random other things." I'm like, "Oh, I know where that's from. I know where that's from." And then
Right.
ultimately they give you a bigger clue that actually matters. But yeah, I would have saw salt, and I probably would have just forgot about it, or I'd have been like, "Oh, which one of these cities is known for salt?" And then
Yeah.
my next thought wouldn't be, "Oh, Salzburg," because I don't know how words work. I wouldn't have known that means city of salt. Would have been the last thing I thought probably. But for the people who are studied, and I think a lot of them did because they knew they were going on a travel show, maybe that thing kind of makes sense.
But what's so interesting is that when Rick goes down to the dungeons after Allie wins, and he tells everyone down there, "Oh yeah, Allie found this salt shaker that looked like a little castle." Mac is the first and up until this point only one to go, "Oh, salt, Salzburg." So
Yeah.
and also the only one smart enough not to say anything about that. Overnight, Rick is going to realize the whole Sound of Music connection and then also think about the salt thing and get to Salzburg from that. But what's funny is like Allie, who has won, doesn't make that connection at all.
Yeah, no, she completely misses it. And she was the one who picked up the salt shaker. So it's not like that damning of a clue. If you don't know, you just don't know.
Right.
But if anything, by the time you leave this castle, there's no reason you shouldn't know that you're in Austria. Now, where in Austria, that's the issue. And if you're thinking of big cities, Vienna's the big city, but according to you and people who know the Sound of Music, it's a huge movie. So it's kind of like if you know the Sound of
It is,
Music.
but I didn't know. Like, I've seen Sound of Music so many times. I don't think they mentioned Salzburg at all in it. I definitely knew Austria. The one thing is, and I got to pull the map back up. Let's look at this
Do
again.
it. Love the map.
I think I was going to say, I know that they're very close to Germany, like physically. And Salzburg is right here on the border. So I think maybe if I was just blind guessing, I would have guessed Salzburg or one of the other cities that is along the border. If you know, based on the previous clues, that you're going to big cities, maybe I would have just guessed the biggest city that is
on the border.
The biggest name on the map, basically.
Oh, on the map. Yeah, because we just left. Yeah, we just left Munich. So,
right.
And we know we're in Austria. So it's really, I think honestly at that point, you're like, did we drive further enough for us to get to Vienna? Right. If we didn't do that, then it's kind of like, where else could we be? But then even then, I would probably at that point be like, well, they wouldn't have put us in Salzburg because that's not Vienna. Vienna's right there. Like, I think if you know the Sound of Music, and I guess maybe they mentioned it in the movie. I don't know. I've never seen it, but it does take place there. And so if you know that and Mozart, it's like they're giving you all the famous people of this town. And me and you are both like, but they could be from anywhere.
Exactly. I need them to be like, and here's a Salisbury steak.
But that's a different town.
But at least it sounds the same. But what's funny is like Allie wins. So her award, she gets to go to the fancy suite and she gets to invite someone else in. Did you think for a second she'd invite anyone other than Shane?
No. I knew that this was going to be schmoopy showman stuff. Like, ooh, come up here and lay in the bed with me. The producers are salivating. I'm like, keep the camera rolling. Like this is the showman stuff that we dream of as reality TV people because you either want to see them succeed or you want to see them fall. And so you have to do the buildup. And this is the buildup. Also, like, you kind of need to bring Shane because Shane's not doing any real recon for you back at home, like in the dungeon. It's not like he's coming back with any good clues for you. You kind of want him there so you can bounce ideas off of him. Someone you can trust that you can speak freely to. Yeah, so I didn't think this was that big of a surprise.
This also isn't a hidden alliance, so it's also her most obvious person to bring anyway. Like if she doesn't bring Shane, it's not like everyone's gonna think, oh, her and Shane aren't tight anymore. No, so it was the perfect thing. Their prize is that they get to see this view in the morning where they see the mountains and they see someone dressed up like Julie Andrews' character Maria from Sound of Music. She's spinning around singing on the mountains, and Allie's like, oh, Sound of Music, Vienna, because that's the only city I know in Austria. Now, we're gonna play this game real quick.
Okay.
Let me scroll into my visual aid. All right, let's pretend Shane won. Who's he inviting to sleep with him? Really? Because he invited Biggie last time.
but this is a bed in a tower by yourself. Like, I just think the two of them are like, this is exactly what he's been waiting on.
Yeah. Allie, we know who she invited. Who's Biggie inviting? Because I think Biggie's inviting Shane.
And in my fanfic, I'm thinking Biggie's inviting Mac. Well, bring Mac to the tower. Yeah.
Based on it's a bed. There's only one bed in the inn. That's how it starts. If we want this to be a frenemies to lovers situation, friends to enemies to lovers, then I think we need this.
So, I also don't think bringing Shane helps him at all. I think bringing Mac kind of like gives him somebody to talk to about some of the clues,
Or do you think the plan should be that you should try to bring someone who is not knowledgeable like you were saying, like the benefit of bringing Shane is that he may not even understand the clue anyway.
Yeah. So like for Allie, I think Allie maybe should have picked Biggie. Now that we're talking to get through, because if she picks Biggie, the information is going to get to Shane regardless. But Biggie is at least somebody who she knows that she can talk about Vienna with, or Austria with. Whereas like I think my boy Shane is kind of out of his depth here in this particular city/country. And so maybe bringing Biggie would probably be the best bet. But I think for them that showman's thing outweighs it. But for Biggie, I think Mac wouldn't be an awful person. I think you need to find you a number one. I think your number one has a number one. And not to say that you aren't his number one right now, but you're not guaranteed to stay that way. Especially now that they've had this night alone and they've, like gotten even closer and cuddled and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you picked Shane picked Biggie to save one time, but that doesn't mean he's always going to do it.
It's an interesting thought because now I'm trying to extrapolate out like the strategy of if Allie brought Biggie and neither of them know Salzburg, and so they both think Vienna, which having a clue, which is the Sound of Music girl, and them thinking Vienna, if Mac later goes to Biggie and says, I think it's Salisbury, or not Salisbury, sorry, I think it's Salzburg. I think it's Salzburg. Would Biggie second guess his own thoughts of it being Vienna? I don't know.
I think so. Because I think that he did it anyway, right? So Vienna gets back to him and he's still like, okay, I'm gonna go whatever Max said.
I'm gonna go with the one that makes actually some sense and it's not just a city.
Right. Like, oh, you mean a city across this entire large ass country? Okay, I'm sure we made it there in roughly 2 hours.
So do you think that Mac and Biggie were already close? Because when she gets back on the bus and tells Biggie Salzburg, do you think that was like already a relationship? Like we can ask Mac and find out, but like, or do you think this was her first trying to make a move here to talk to him?
No, I feel like they might have just had like a friendly working relationship prior to this. I mean, they are in an alliance, right? And Biggie would be very bored if he was spending all his time waiting on Shane and Allie to stop cuddling and holding hands, right? Like he has to talk to someone. And so, I mean, there have been people who've gone already, but I struggle to think that like Biggie has been sitting around talking to Kim this whole time. Rick playing both sides, so he's not always available. So I feel like Mac was probably his best bet, or probably her best bet to make an alliance with. They're both really good. Since episode 1, they've been kind of like above and beyond what people probably would have expected just going in. Mac comes in episode 1 and she's like, I'm going to be the best one here. And then Biggie, I think, surprises a lot of people. So for me, if this is the first time she tried to make this bond, I think it's a mistake.
I think it's a lot of information and some very good information to give up to someone that she had no alliance with. So I have to assume that they had more of a working relationship that we just didn't see. I mean, there was a lot of times in the last couple episodes where we would see, kind of with all groups of people, Mac being there, sitting there, commenting, laughing, but not really providing a lot of information. And so I wonder if, this sort of the OG group alliance, or just like sometimes, now that Ty is out, maybe Mac was kind of subbed into that alliance as sort of someone. I'm also a little distracted looking at this picture of Mac because I'm kind of thinking like, I feel like I could cosplay as Mac. Like if I part my hair differently.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it. Y'all are wearing the same color right now, I believe.
We are. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe that's why I find a kinship with Mac. We didn't go through this one. Rick, who do you think Rick would have invited up to? I think he's inviting Peter to the bedroom. I think
he's inviting Biggie. I think he's still trying to disguise his
Really?
Yeah, I think he's still trying to disguise this alliance. Later on when he gets the chance to save somebody from the map room, he correctly identifies that he cannot save Janae and Peter. They're just gonna have to, he can give them the answer, but he can't openly go and align with them because people are gonna know he's playing both sides.
Do you think he could have pulled the but just outside of the game, I'm so interested to get to know Peter and pick his brain. I always wanted to be a pilot, nothing like that.
He could try. I don't know if it works, but he could try. They didn't trust Rick at first. I think he's really been doing a lot of work to try to get back in their good graces, even though he should not be trusted. Like when Mac goes out in this episode, she will literally say, I knew I couldn't trust Rick. And it's like, yo, you cannot. You honestly can. And so I don't think he needs to give them any other reason to believe that he could be playing the both sides because he's doing it really well right now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just would have loved to see Rick fangirl, but
yeah, that'd have been so cool. Especially if the two of them get to put their heads together, I'm sure they could work this thing out. That's a dangerous alliance for sure.
It really is. And then what about Mac? Do you think Mac's bringing Biggie?
She did tell him Salzburg.
I think I think the safe move would have been for if Mac had wanted to like bring Allie, but I think I would want her to bring Biggie.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I think majority of the people we've named should be bringing Biggie. Is Biggie's social game just that good?
Yeah. And then do you think Peter and Janae just bring each other?
Got to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no reason
just
to
kind of
even
the easy move there.
Yeah, leave the rest of them out. Whatever clue you get, like you never tell them about the Julie Andrews thing at all. You come down and act like we just had a good night's sleep. We could see the Alps, which will also show you kind of where you are. Like that's like like it could be anywhere, but it's like it's the Alps. But you don't say like, oh, we saw Julie Andrews clone out there like spinning around outside. Like you don't do that.
Even though that doesn't even help them really. But
it doesn't really help. I mean, it actually does, considering The Sound of Music is set in Salzburg. So
we didn't know, but again, they have to assume that someone would know that. Yeah.
Right. So, we don't know that, Mary. They might know that.
And here's my problem though, is I would have literally seen that and been like, oh, this doesn't help me. It's just Austria.
It's just
and
Austria.
Then I would have and I've been like, well, if I don't know, nobody else would know. And so I'd go tell them, and then you'd have Mac in the corner being like, ha ha ha. I know exactly where that was filmed, you know.
Why did she tell us the exact city? That's crazy.
Wow, like, she's so dumb. Yeah, exactly. I would have been dumb. I would have been the dumb one. Oh well. And you know what the thing is? Normally I'm good with the pop culture stuff, and I knew it, just not specifically enough to make it help.
Mm-hmm. This was one of my, and I'm gonna have a lot of them watching the show, but this is definitely one of my blind spots. I knew Austria exists. And I knew that like if maybe like Schwarzenegger shows up or something like that, then like I know we're in Austria, but still that doesn't tell me where we are. In Austria, you know, it's just that this is a big ass country. But to get 2 clues where the main person in both clues is from the exact city we're in,
right?
Yeah, I don't think it can get. Honestly, although they went over our heads, I don't think they could have said Salzburg any louder to us, Mary. Like, what could they have done to get us to get this clue?
I think if they said, here's Salzburg, here are the clues that would come out of Salzburg, and the problem is that I just knew, it would be like, I was trying to think of like a state. Like, if you pick, I don't know, like a city in Connecticut, and it's like, here is all the stuff about this specific city in Connecticut, and I'll look at that and be like, I don't know any cities in Connecticut.
Look,
New Haven?
I know it's Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I know we're in Connecticut. I just don't know where.
I know we're in Connecticut, but I don't know. I know nothing else than that.
That's exactly what this was. You know, it's like we're in Philadelphia. Here, like, look, it's Rocky, and you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what this. It could be anywhere, right? It's like no, it's actually could be in one place. I think we're just this was just not for us. We were lost in Austria.
Oh, well. And, you know, we've talked this clue to death, but that's because the second clue
does not help at all.
In a hot second, you know?
It does not help at all. Yodeling to me, this is the, you didn't get to see Julie Andrews spinning around. So this is the closest we will give you if you weren't looking up
other people.
Yes. That's exactly what I thought this was.
Did you like Constance and the Belting Berthas?
I loved it so much. Look, I'm from the deep South. I love yodeling. Okay, I do. It's not something that no, hell no. What? Oh. But I like when people are able to. I like when people are able to do it. No, absolutely not, Mary. I like when people can yodel. That's what I like. And so this is not the same yodeling that I'm talking about, obviously. But when I was like, I would be so good at this. She sounded so nice, and then all you gotta do is run out there and just like tune out all the other bleeding and find the person who's yodeling that same song. I would have won this challenge. It still would have done nothing for me except keep me safe because I still would not know where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this would not have helped me even slightly. I would have once again said, well, there's a yodeling song in Sound of Music.
Yeah.
They were trying to slam Sound of Music over your head so much.
And it was going over my head. Mary, I've never seen this movie. All I know is that scene where that lady is spinning around in the hill.
You've never even seen the like, you know, so long, farewell.
Oh, I saw that on Family Guy.
What about like, you know, like these are a few of my favorite things.
Oh, is that what that's
for
from?
Some reason like a Christmas song now? Even though I'm like, what is Christmassy about this? Even a little bit. They talk about like schnitzel and stuff.
That's an Ariana Grande song. I know Seven Rings when I hear it. Okay, don't play with me.
I thought you were saying Seven Rings is a Christmas song.
Like, it could be.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So they hear Constance yodel, and then they got to go run to one of the yodel. I think this is a talent here to be able to like sing your tune, yodel your tune, while everyone else in the vicinity is yodeling something else. Like it's hard enough to try and sing like the harmony to a melody. Yes.
And they're loud. They're belting, as their name implies. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, you have to be able to keep your tune going, but and not get clouded by all the rest of these random songs that are going on. And then even for the contestants, they have to be able to drown that out and actually hear the yodel that they
Yeah.
just heard 3 seconds ago for the first time. It's not like a song they've memorized. If you told me 3 numbers and told me to run across a field and go see if somebody was saying those 3 numbers, I'm probably going to get it wrong. I'm the type of person that when the little when they send you the verification code on your iPhone, that I have to like screenshot it and stare at it. Like I cannot just like go back and type it in. Like God forbid it doesn't populate on its own, because if it doesn't, I'm screwed. Like I have to
We
go
love
back.
when it populates on its own.
Oh my God, it's like Christmas.
So
Like
nice.
7 Rings is playing in the
They're like,
background.
we've texted you this code. You're probably gonna need it. Here's a copy of it.
Just put it in there. Yeah, exactly. These are a few
Or
of my
sometimes it does
favorite
it
things, Mary.
automatically. It's just like, whew, yeah, love
Best
that.
day ever. But when I don't, and I have to go back, I'm going back 6 times for each number. 1 time for each number. That's just not my strength.
No, the memorizing part I think would have been good. It's just that this turned out to just be like a running event where Rick just like grabs the right one, and by the time anyone else has even like gotten to the Berthos, he's already back with Constance. Now this one, he gets to choose someone else to also be safe. So there's 7 of them left. Allie is safe. Rick now gets to be safe, and then also gets to give immunity to someone else. And he gives it to Biggie. You know what? You're right. He would have taken Biggie to the bedroom. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just there's not really a lot of reason to pick anybody else. Like you pick Shane. Yeah. Thanks again. Like what's Shane gonna do for you? Really? Like he's not picking. You're like 3rd or 4th in Shane's pecking order. You pick Janae and Peter. Everybody knows you're working both sides. You can pick Mac. Maybe you try to build an alliance, like a stronger alliance with Mac.
Yeah, does Rick have a strong alliance? It doesn't really feel like Rick and Mac have like. I mean, they were sitting there, they were talking, they were bonding over being in the middle.
Yeah. You pick Mac. If you pick Mac, then yeah, we probably lose somebody else in this round. We probably lose like Janae or somebody in this round because of the tiebreaker. Because Biggie's not going to be as far off, probably. But like that's it, really. Like this is the game-changing moment. Depending on who he picks here, this is whether or not Mac is about to get eliminated because Biggie's about to do a thing, Mary, that he should not do.
Biggie tells. Who does he tell? He tells Shane. Sorry, Biggie tells Shane and Allie. Or yeah, I guess he just tells Shane because
Allie doesn't have to know.
We don't even know, but he tells Shane that it's Salzburg. Peter also tells. Rick tells Peter, and Peter tells Janae it's Salzburg. So everyone knows that it's Salzburg. So at this point, the only thing you're thinking is, does one of them for some reason decide to not believe what they've been told? Doesn't happen. They all select Salzburg. And here's my issue. I have a couple issues with this whole twist or whatever, this maneuver. Here's my first one. I'm 99% sure that in previous episodes, it not only mattered that you picked the city, but that it was just like literally closest to the exact spot in the city you're at. And so that like, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure in previous ones where people were like, picking around Rome, for example, that there were like some people in Rome who were closer than others based on where they were. Now, maybe they don't care. Maybe they just want you to be in the city. But I thought like the second level of this would have been, okay, you now need to like zoom in on Salzburg and try to figure out what kind of iconic site might we be at. Because the answer ends up being that they're right at the what is it? The something gardens. I wrote it down.
Something from The Sound of Music.
Yeah, there's a specific location. The Salisbury Cathedral and the Mirabelle Palace and Gardens. And so I feel like they could have done that, but they don't. And instead, there's a tie. They go to the tiebreaker question, and I don't know why they didn't just say the person who's farthest away is out. It would have also been like not super fair, but And I don't know why I'm arguing for this, because I generally do like things where there's like a social strategic element for why you get eliminated. I think the problem that I have is just that the name of the game is Guess Where You Are, and they all guessed correctly.
Yeah.
And Mac even guessed correctly. And I feel like at that point, you need to come up with the way that someone gets eliminated has to be another guessing a location type thing of some sort.
Yeah, I was trying to work this out in my mind too about like if I liked it or not. I don't have a real issue with it because I think that we can all get the right answer, but did you really know where we were, or are you just saying what you think, right? And so maybe knowing the answer to this question does, or like getting a close to answer this question does prove that you have some type of knowledge about where we are. You know, like it shows that you're not completely lost, right? So like Shane and Janae are completely lost. They just don't know, but they do valid guesses, right? Mac is not completely lost at all. She knows where she is. And Peter as well. He doesn't know where he is either. Mac is the only one who knows where they are. But to prove that you know, tell me something about the place. And I think question that but that's what they did. They said, how old is this castle? And I'm like, maybe tell us how one of the clues connected directly. You know, tell me how you got here. Show your work. Maybe that's something that we could ask. Like, tell me one fact about, or what's the biggest movie here that we've referenced today?
That's kind of like Peter happened to be the closest. Shane and Mac were very close to each other in the middle, and then Janae is so far off. So the fact that Janae ends up being safe is frustrating.
Yeah, and she's so far off of their answer, but they're not close either. Like, we're looking at, what was it?
Peter was 1450, and the answer is 1191. Yeah,
right. So the closest the other two was, they were still 400 years off. You know, so it's like,
they were all bad. They were all bad.
Yeah, they were all bad. Like Peter was 300 years away. And again, I don't know if there's a clue to how old this castle is in the castle, but the show doesn't really outline that. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, but it doesn't really, like, it's kind of like we got past the do you know where you are phase of the game and we needed something else. But Mary, maybe this is just what you need to start incentivizing people to stop sharing your answers so much.
Stop sharing your answers, and also build alliances and have good relationship with everyone so that they will not send you home. Or, I mean, because the reason that Matt goes home is that Peter thinks that she's the biggest threat to win the game.
Yeah.
So whatever she's doing to make people think that you're a big threat, hide that, I guess.
Well, okay, I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna sound mean, but it's not mean because I've already identified that this is who I am in the game anyway.
Okay.
There's no world where you should be eliminating Shane here. There's just no. Sorry.
Well, right.
Sorry.
Right. And I know
Peter,
that, and they tried to be like
ally is Janae.
Yes, and they tried to be like, oh, Peter, he picked the logical move instead of the emotional one. But like Peter's not an emotional. He's never gonna pick Shane. Like he's got beef with Shane, but he's not threatened by Shane in the game.
Exactly, and I don't think anybody should be. So like, although like Matt goes home because she is the biggest threat. There's no like the only other option was Janae. It was Janae, Shane, or Mac, and it's like, why would I get rid of Janae or Shane?
Yeah.
Neither one of them know anything about this particular country that we're in right now. Neither one of them would have got they have no clue where we are. Let me get rid of the one person who I know has been locked in this entire day. They've known every step of the way. And if we go to another country, guess who's going to know? Out of all of these people, who's most likely to get the next one right is definitely Mac.
Yeah. I mean, Mac was by far the most threatening in terms of playing the game and understanding what's happening. And so having that threat there, the only thing I could think about would be like not Shane's threat of knowing where he is, but just like, does him being in a close alliance, you don't know what other kind of twisty things might happen. Like Allie is always going to give her helpful clue to Shane. Allie's never going to send Shane to the map room. She's going to save him. And that's just kind of like it's sort of like in Survivor where people like want to take out the third place goat because they're taking up a space. So Shane's taking up a space when it comes to prizes and removing a space when it's come to punishments. That would be the only thing I could think about. But like, since it's not a voting game, it kind of doesn't matter that much.
Well, no, I actually kind of agree with you that Shane should be a target for anybody who's not like Mac. You know, like Mac doesn't have to worry about Shane because he's never going to beat her. But if I'm Janae, I want Shane out. because no one's going to get rid of me. And so like they're not going to get rid of Shane. So eventually they might look at me instead. I need to be the GOAT. You need to be sliding me to the end so that I can social game my way up on a couple lucky clues or something like that. So there are people who should be threatened by Shane. I don't think those answers are Peter or Mac. I think that, I think Biggie potentially could be threatened by Shane long term because, again, he would have to take out his number one ally to get Shane out. And that would probably be difficult to do. But like, I think Peter's fine. I think Rick should also be wanting Shane to be out of the game. But not everybody.
And yeah, Rick should definitely be wanting Shane out. I think the person who is most threatening in the game, even more threatening than Mac, unfortunately, was safe, which is Biggie. Like Biggie is because he's in the best position. He's also winning challenges, winning like he was picked by Rick in this one. So he's got really great social capital. Mac is telling him all her things. Biggie is like just sitting back and getting all kinds of information. So I think that he would have been the person I would have gone for if you have the opportunity to get someone out. But obviously didn't have that opportunity. I did think this exit of Mac was really sad. She's like crying and she's saying, she felt like she was getting better and better at the game and really upset that she was taken out in this way. This is one of those pros and cons things though, where it's like you were taken out because 100% you were a threat and you can kind of like, it's super frustrating, but you can also move forward being like, I knew where I was. I was not taken out of my own ignorance.
Well,
except for the castle thing, and also telling Biggie what you knew.
That's the thing. So it's not so much the castle thing because whatever. I'm acting like this.
What do you blame more? Do you blame Mac for telling Biggie, or do you blame Biggie for telling Shane?
I blame Mac for telling Biggie. I blame Mac for telling Biggie. I think you.
Why? She wanted to go to the Lions.
Look. I'm rooting for them in life. Okay, but I do think that maybe I don't know. So the issue that I'm having is that every week, we kind of toggle between who is Shane's number one ally. Is it Allie or is it Biggie? Right? And so we kind of like, although they are a couple, it does seem like he is willing to go above and beyond for Biggie. That's cool. But if you know that Biggie and Shane are that tight, why do you think he's going to put this aside for you? It's like, unless, like you said, Mary, unless there's been this like working relationship that we didn't really know about, it's a reach. Like, and don't get me wrong, it could be a good risk to take. It could benefit you long term, but it is indeed a risk to tell someone else's number one ally that like anything in the game, especially when, now, if you really want to think about this one, and she doesn't really know this, but the first challenge, he already threw you under the bus. He told Shane where the keys were before, and he didn't tell you. So he's already picked Shane over you once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have done it.
She shouldn't have done it. It's tough.
But I think, and this is a little rooting for love edit that happened here. The fact that Biggie is also really upset with himself for this and does seem like he regrets it.
Yeah, he looks really broken up about this. He says it's the worst case scenario and that he should not have looked out for Shane like this. And so maybe in the future he doesn't anymore. Mary,
I think he realizes he's now stuck with Shane and Allie, who are probably going to pick each other most of the time. And he could have had that type of person in Mac. Now he doesn't. Everyone's got a pair except for him.
You know what I think the issue is? Mac told Biggie a thing when Mac was in danger and Biggie was not. That's the problem here. She was the one exposed and she's giving her answers away. Well,
he wasn't safe at the time.
Yes, but Biggie doesn't tell Shane until he absolutely has to save Shane. He tells Shane at the last minute before they go into the map room, just so you know, it's this. Mac, if Biggie's fine, Biggie ain't gotta know. Why did you tell him? You're supposed to compare notes right before and be like, all right, I got you. Here's what I got. But I think this is love.
That's true. She should have waited until she should have seen Biggie get safe. Cool. Don't need to tell him anything. And then she's good. Shane knows nothing.
I have a really deep cut Survivor reference that only you and I would understand. And I don't know if I should make it here.
Make it anyway.
So Heroes versus villains. You have Tyson, who's going to do a crazy move, right? He's going to vote with Russell Hantz because he wants to keep Russell Hantz around. If Parvati goes home, Russell will be closer to him. He does it when he's not immune.
Yep.
He does it when he's exposed, and guess who goes home? He does.
Yeah.
If he was immune and did it, whatever. Boston Rob goes, we live to fight another day, and you might have an ally in Russell Hantz. But because you were the one that was up for grabs here, it's you that goes home. And so, yeah, Mary, she shouldn't have done it while her neck was on the line. Like you said, she didn't know at the time that he would be safe. But that's why you shouldn't have said it. Unless you thought you were about to go into the map room, you don't need to be telling anybody anything.
Okay, so I'm going to add this to my list of things to ask Mac. Why did you tell Biggie so early?
Also, what do you think about Tyson voting himself out of Hero versus Villains?
Sure.
Quickly.
We'll see if she knows reality TV, and then we'll ask that one. Do you feel like you're the
do you feel like a Tyson apostle? And can we see you come back to win another game in the future, and then potentially?
But this would be like Tyson if Russell was secretly sad that Tyson went home. Like, oh no,
right?
I'm so
and
sad
he was not at all. He was not at all.
Yeah, that's not how that worked.
No, Biggie's coach.
All right. Yeah,
Biggie's coaching this situation.
I don't know. So let's pull the map back up again.
Okay.
So we can figure this
out. That
was
just for me and you, and for
that was just for us. Thank you for bearing with. And now we'll get on to the final part of the show. All right, looking at this again, where are we going next? We both bombed this week by guessing Prague. So we could be going to Prague now.
We could be going to Prague now. Okay, so
Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, Croatia.
Slovenia. That would be fun. Is there any world where we stay in the same country and we just go to Vienna?
What clues are they? Sausages?
Sausages, Schwarzenegger,
okay,
Beethoven.
Chappell, have you ever had Vienna sausages? And do you call them Vienna sausages?
I call them Vienna sausages, and I've had them when I was a child. Okay. Why? Are they Vienna?
Well, I call them Vienna, but my mom, who's originally from Texas, says that she grew up calling them Vieni.
Vieni sausages. Yeah, look, that's funny. Oh, no, and then the waltz, the Viennese waltz is from Vienna. So there are things you could have done.
Waltzes? Didn't we already do a waltz thing?
Did we do a waltz? I don't think so. We wouldn't have waltzed in Geneva.
No, you're right. We wouldn't have. I'm looking at these places being like, there's no Paris waltz.
Yeah, but the Viennese waltz is a thing, right? And so like
that is a thing.
Honestly, Mary, if you wanted to rule out Vienna from this, the fact that we didn't have that waltz or those sausages should have let us know that we weren't in Vienna.
That's true.
The problem is I didn't have a backup place in Austria to go. I didn't know anything else about it. Okay, so
be like, why? It's so funny that we're doing Vienna when we haven't talked about waltzing or sausages.
These clues are awful. Like meanwhile, we're awful.
Salt? What are we doing?
Okay, so we got Austria out of the way. So let's say we're going to a different country, because I would love for them to go into a different country. So,
you know what? I'm doubling down. I'm going Prague again. So
we're going Prague
one of these times I'm going to get it right.
So you think we're going to Czechia?
I mean, mostly just because I was wrong, and so I'm just gonna try to be right this time.
Okay, listen, we can let's talk this through.
Okay,
we looked at the map last time and we thought, which big cities could we go to, and we missed it because we didn't think of Salzburg because we didn't know that was an important city. So are there any other like popular
cities
culture
that we think are not super
pop culture cities? Yeah, they might not be big, but maybe they mean something, or that like you could make a bunch of clues for them. And no, I don't have the answer to that.
I mean, we could go all the way to Poland, but like,
could we go all the way to Poland? That's very far to get to Warsaw. And I could not make I don't know what I would do in Krakow.
I don't know what I would do either.
Yeah, I think Czechia is probably a good guess.
We could go to Budapest. We could go to somewhere in.
Could we get to Budapest? How long do you think this trip would be if we were going to Budapest? Do you think it's very far? Because it does look like it's far,
but we just looks like the same distance from Amsterdam to Munich.
Okay, I'm okay with that. So I would like to do. Yeah, I think Budapest.
You're going to Budapest? I think okay, cool.
Yeah, because I think Budapest has the best clues. I know the hotel.
Here's my problem. Every clue that I can think about to do with Budapest comes from Marvel movies. So I wouldn't
Okay.
get this right unless they're showing me the Black Widow. I don't know what else is
Yeah,
happening.
I'm looking that like so Budapest is the only city that I could make any legitimate like argument for that's probably in driving distance.
Or we're doubling back somewhere. We're going somewhere else in Germany. We're heading back to Luxembourg, go Switzerland again, somewhere else in Italy, go to Venice.
Okay.
Pretty
Okay.
obvious one. I feel like Venice is so on the nose. But then we went to Paris and Rome. So
Yeah, we could go to Venice. If we go to Venice, are we basically just making a big circle? Like how like
how many more? So we've got 6 more people. I think we have to go over here a little bit to the east.
yeah, to the east. Okay. Yeah. Like we talked about, if they were to double back, we'd only be able to go to like back to Germany. We're only going to like Frankfurt, because we already did Munich.
Or Berlin.
Or Berlin. Yeah, we could do Berlin as well. That's a hell of a drive. That's gonna take us way up there. But we took a hell of a drive to get here. So
Can
who
they
knows?
put the bus on a train?
I mean, didn't they take a train? They took a train.
They did, but that was just like that's a good point. They did take a train. Do you think
They
the
took a
bus?
train.
And in my mind, I think I thought they were like took the train down and then went back up, but I guess they didn't. I guess the bus like came and met them on the. Is a train faster than a bus? Probably.
It
It's
is
probably
in
more
mountains
direct.
for sure. Yeah. And then that's the thing. We're in a very mountainous area. We're in the Alps at this point. I kind of think you got to get back on the train, or all our trips are going to be like an hour away.
Yeah. Yep.
Yay! We figured it out. We're going to be on a train.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe we're taking a train.
Did you land on Prague?
I landed on Prague. I'm going to Prague, but we can guess different things.
I want to go. This is me, just like places that I want to go. I want to go to Croatia.
Okay, you want to guess Croatia? I think we will be going to Croatia at some point.
Yeah, but I don't know where we would go in Croatia.
I don't know any cities in Croatia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My guess is Budapest. The end.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens next time then.
Yay.
All right, everyone. Thank you for bearing with.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Chappell, so much for being here.
Yeah. This is so cool.
You know what? Peek behind the curtain. I'm going to cut all of it out. But I pretty much fell asleep on this podcast, and Chappell pulled me out of it. So not because of the content, but because I'm sleep deprived.
My girl hasn't slept in days, y'all. So keep Mary in your thoughts.
Not slept in days.
She's not slept in days, y'all. So look, thank you for having me, Mary.
Of my own making.
I'm glad I got to be here to keep you awake for this, because we still had a fun conversation.
It was touch and go for a minute there.
I had fun the whole time, especially watching you go to sleep. I know the people who are going to look back and go try to find the points where you did fall asleep, and there are going to be a lot of them. So that's the next game. Is like, can you get all the clues that Mary was about to pass out? Yeah, Sasha will be back next week, right? And so I'm sure
her responsibility to keep me awake.
Yeah, and I would be watching along because I really am enjoying the podcast coverage, and I'm just happy that y'all let me be here and got to ramble about the things that I don't know, because I've been looking at the comments, and our listeners, they're pretty tapped in. They love you. They like it. Yeah.
they like you. Yes, they do like you. Who doesn't?
Yeah. No, I said they like Europe. They
they like you.
No, I said they like it. They like Europe. Yeah.
Europe's great. I think that this would be extremely self-serving and not that interesting to anyone else, but I think a version of this where it's in the United States would be very interesting to me, because I think that I would have a fun time trying to guess. Like, obviously I know more cities. Like, I'm sure everyone from Europe, if they're watching this, they're like, this is so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I would feel the same way if it was the United States.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I did see that in July, Destination X UK is dropping. And so
maybe they're going to the US.
Maybe they're going to the US. My first thought was like, are they going to Africa? That would be so cool. Yeah, maybe they're going to the US. Maybe they filmed it right around the corner from us and we didn't even know it. And like, what is this Houston? Where is that at? You know, like where we did that here in the United States. So I think you should check it out. I don't know where it's going to air it, but if we can find some links for it, definitely check it out and see what Destination X UK looks like, because some of these places are not that far from the UK, and so it wouldn't be that difficult to figure them out. I think that we got to kind of start expanding and making people go places that they've never dreamed of going.
Yes.
But big cities, of course. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Otherwise it's just guess the location on the map.
Look, we need to have the pop culture references or we're not going to figure it out, y'all. So we got to pick places that they might not necessarily be the biggest.
And it can't just be Geneva again, where everything's a Rebus puzzle.
Right, exactly. So it can't be the biggest, but it does need to be someplace that, like, if you have any knowledge of, you know, the location, whatever that might be, right? Whether it's like topography or even just like the films that have been made there, famous artists and composers that are there, movies that are set there, that we can figure it out. But this has been so much fun. I can't wait to listen to y'all next week.
Me too. Can't wait. I'm bummed that Mac is gone, but I feel like we're really at the point where the people in the game are playing hard or are Shane, and you know.
Yeah. I think Shane needs to step it up. I just don't know what he needs to do now.
He's so comfortable is the problem. He's got his showmance, he's got his alliance with Biggie. He's in a good spot. And he's been safe. So, you know, he's getting all the information. He knows that he has someone like Biggie to just tell him where it is. And this is the problem, is too many people are telling each other. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan said it at the end. He said, you know, this is what did he say? Something like, you guys were something is a hold on. What is the quote? It's like,
I don't know the quote.
Knowledge is power or something, or knowledge is currency.
But you gave all your power to everybody else.
Yeah, you gave it all away way too freely, something like that.
Yeah. They really did, especially Mac. But yeah, maybe there's a world where Allie gets taken out and Shane is able to pivot a little bit away from the showmance, and because I do think he does have like this immunity that people aren't just going to come after him because he's not that big of a threat. But right. there are still people who could come after him, and so I would love to see what it looks like when there's not two sides of the bus, right? Where they're able to play across the aisle. Maybe a connection with Janae would be fun to watch. Well, if the two of them realize like, we're probably not the most tapped in, but we're going to need each other to get further. I would love to see some of that. But again, I'm going to tune in because I like hearing you and Sasha talk about this. And hopefully everybody else sticks around a little bit more to see how this ends. Because I don't know what the end of the game looks like.
We don't know. None of us do. So yeah, stick around. We'll find out all together here. And Chappell, where can everyone follow you to check out what else you've got going on?
I'm on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback, but also I'm on the Nothing But Netflix podcast, nothingbutpod.com will take you to that. We've been covering Squid Game, 7 days a week of Squid Game. Well, 6 days because there are only 6 episodes, but Mike Bloom and I covered every day of Squid Game. And so all our podcast episodes should be out by the time you hear this. If not, I think we got like one more, but whatever. We're talking about the finale of Squid Game soon on our YouTube page, or at least on the We Know Scripted TV YouTube page. So you can check it out there, leave us a comment. And then you can catch me on Recap Kickback every week. I'm talking to Chantel Francis live about Flavor of Love every week live.
I thought you were going to say I Love Lucy.
No, I was going to say I Love New York, and then I realized that that's the wrong show. And so The Flavor of Love every week. Jason Reed joined us to talk about Ironheart, the first 3 episodes. We'll have the second 3 episode recap out next week. So you can catch me on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback and subscribe to my podcast, please. recapkickback.com/subscribe.
Do it. Subscribe. Squid Game kind of snuck up on me. I saw your podcast pop up and I'm like, oh shoot, gotta watch that season 3.
That's how I feel about The Bear. I looked up and I saw episode 5 recap of The Bear and I was like, there's no way 5 episodes are out, but they dropped the whole thing and people are trying to get in front of the recaps. So there you go.
And everyone, you can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary, and check out my Instagram highlights for Western States 100-miler content, which is why I'm sleep deprived. So that'll at least answer that question. All right, everyone. Until next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.